Let's talk about advanced fillers. So back in the day when we did fillers, we would look at lines and just fill them in. That's like fixing little trees and ignoring the forest. Advanced injectors now focus more on the periphery and the entire face. So let's show this with the aging process. If we take a look here, I'd like you to equate youth with fullness. Why is this important? Well, the heavier we are in the body, the younger we look in the face. And the thinner we are in the body, the older we look in the face. So as we get older, some of the natural changes are we have some atrophy, we have volume loss, and what I really focus on are the temples. If you take a look, the bottom part of the face we're really good at. They do cheeks, they do lips, and they're full. But if you ignore the temples, I call it peanut head. Let's take a look here, and you don't have to be necessarily old either. So if you look at the top and you see Carson Daly right there, notice how caved in it is, and it's like a peanut head. When it's volumized, now it looks so much healthier. On the bottom, if you look, there's my assistant, and she's very healthy, but she has sort of a long, slender face. And by adding volume gently in the periphery, she looks healthier. So let's now take a look at the temporal hollowing. So this is a patient of mine, and if you look, there's a Q-tip showing the inside of the negative space. When we're younger, that's filled, and as we get older, it starts to hollow. If you start volumizing the bottom and you put the cheeks and the lines and the lips, while that does look good from here down, if you don't treat the top area, then it accentuates the peanut. So if you look all the way to the right with this patient, I volumized the temples only. And now if you look at the periphery, it looks like a heart again. So this is the more advanced way of doing things. It goes in line with what we talked earlier about the triangle of youth. Look at the triangle of youth. If this is wider, then the eyes look bigger. Conversely, if it starts to hollow, then you start to see more lines around the eyes, the skin starts to sag. So if anything bothers you in the bottom half, like the jowls, actually the correct treatment begins in the temples. And as that's volumized, then you go to the lower face. If you do this correctly, many of our patients don't need anything done in this area. So be careful. If people are trying to fill in the lines around the lower face and they haven't addressed this, then you're making the lower part of your face bigger and wider. So once again, sequencing and putting in the right order is so important. So let me show you a few more images of our patients. If you look here, I had to redirect her and explain that her temples are quite hollow. Immediately after treatment, when you look, wow, her eyes look bigger. It's like putting air in a balloon and suddenly everything's expanded. And suddenly, if you look at the periphery, it looks like a heart again, not a peanut. Let's show another one here. Once again, this is a patient in their 40s, and you're just starting to see a little bit of the hollowing on the top and the bottom. And look at what it looks like after we do the periphery. Okay, let's show you some slides of men. Oh my gosh, that's me. Okay, if you take a look, that's about 10 years ago. I'm actually 10 pounds lighter in that image. Yeah, 10 pounds lighter. Why do I look so full? It's because I was getting fillers in my cheeks and in my face. Every time there was a new filler that came out, we would have one of the best injectors on the mainland come and inject in that area. So I didn't notice it with the first or second time. I thought it looked good. And with repetition, we kept adding a little bit more. And then suddenly my wife made a comment and said, you kind of look like a woman. And I looked and I went, holy smokes. My cheeks are full, it's very curved, and yeah. And I didn't like it. And this was years ago, so I started catching early on that we shouldn't be overfilling people, and we should not be injecting men the same way that we do women. So now if you look at the photo to the right, my face looks completely different. I look leaner even though I've actually gained 10 pounds. I'm also 9 years older. So I haven't gotten fillers in my face in at least 6 or 7 years. What I've had done is Botox and the masseters, and I really try to focus on building collagen with Sculptra and with threads. That's a whole nother topic that we'll talk about later. It's an artistic approach. And in general, if you have a full face, you don't really need more volume. So let's look at a few more men. Okay, if you look at this handsome man, you'll notice from one image to the next, very hard to tell what was done. So with men in general, we tend to inject posterior. It's sort of like a frame, so that we don't put too much in the front, we put it toward the rear. And then it actually creates a lift and creates depth. Here's one more. If you take a look once again, just adding volume in the right places in linear lines to create a trapezoid makes it look so much more attractive than the big cheeks and the big curves. So stay tuned, we'll talk next about collagen stimulation and how we combine the fillers with collagen to create the ideal heart shape or angular lines for men and women. Aloha.